Yes, yes, yes. What is up? What is up, MCR family? Another weekly edition of the show live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. We're in a new studio, so make sure, let me know if it sounds good, video's fine, all that unfortunate shit. But as usual, I'm joined by the one and only Gary in Dallas. Gary, it's been a minute, man. How are you doing?
It's been a minute. I was out of town. I was in the RGV, the Rio Grande Valley, with Juarez and his family.
That's right. You were sending me like pictures and shit, weren't you? I believe you were.
Did I? I don't think so. Did I?
You might have been posting videos on your YouTube channel. I've been watching those.
I put stuff on Instagram. I was with
yes.
Juan Tapia, who fights Robisky on the
Ramirez, Robbie
Ramirez on the
You might beat him. It's Robbie Ramirez.
That's Tapia fought Shakur Stevenson and said that was just another level. He said Shakur's not even that he's not fast, it's just that you can't hit him. Like his angles and his movement is just another level. But then he fought Vladimir.
Sorry, speaking of that, did you see the fucking Shakur fight that just got announced? Who's he fighting?
I didn't see Shakur fight get in that. Oh, he's fighting Herring, isn't he?
No. There's another fight. There's an in-between fight he's having.
Oh, just like a stay busy fight?
It starts with like an N or something. Like it's like Nakatani, like the Japanese guy, but like
not Nakatani, yeah.
Not Nakatani. I want to see like the Russian version, it looks like. I don't know. I'm totally spitballing here. I just saw a headline. But anyways.
Is it the guy that Michael Conlon fought? Vladimir Nikitin?
No.
Okay.
It's longer. This guy's name is longer.
It's longer than that? Okay.
Yes. But anyways, Gary, we did have fights this last weekend. We have a lot of news to get to. We have a lot of fights this weekend, to be quite honest. Like the weekend's jam-packed with action. Where do you want to start? Because we have the fights this last weekend. We have big news or not news, depending who you ask, or depending if Bob Arum's high that minute of the interview. On Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, we have Pacquiao news with Crawford and Spence. We have a lot to get to. Floyd Mayweather fights announced. The undercard's looking pretty decent in some ways. Gary, the main event isn't, but I mean the undercard looked fine.
I will not be spending money on that either. I'll probably watch it though, at least the undercard. I have zero interest in watching Floyd Mayweather. Jake Paul, Logan Paul.
No, this is Logan Paul. This is
Logan Paul.
How do you get it mixed up? There's only two of them.
There's Jake Paul.
And Gary, you know like how many like brothers and cousins in Texas that are fighters? Like all of them are brothers and cousins in Texas, I feel like.
No, that's West Virginia.
Oh. A different type of...
It's all relative in West Virginia.
We love you people in West Virginia.
We love you. But there is a road sign. You know how it says like buckle up, it's the law? Right? In West Virginia, they do have a sign that says incest is illegal. Like you have to be reminded.
No way. Yeah, the U.S. should definitely just balkanize. Right. It's okay. It can happen. Anyways, Gary, where do you want to start? We have so much to get
to. In West Virginia, the family tree does not fork. No disrespect to the people of West Virginia. Lovely people.
The inner Southern beef, so to speak, even though like West Virginia is not like really the South, but it definitely has like a Southern culture, so to speak. Appalachian culture, I should say.
There you go. That's better.
There's so much like inner beef in the South. I love it because like everyone else in the country use it all as like a monolith. But then you talk to anyone in the South, you guys hate each other. It's hilarious.
I only dislike Oklahoma.
You just rattled off at least 10 jokes about West Virginia, man. I don't know about that.
The toothbrush was invented in Oklahoma. I don't know if y'all know that.
The guy he's fighting is Jeremiah Nakatili. He's from Namibia.
I'm not. Look, if he hasn't fought in a year, the rest of that joke was the toothbrush was invented in Oklahoma. That's why it's called the toothbrush and not the teeth brush. I fine, like whatever. Like he hasn't fought in a year. He doesn't want to go into a big fight cold. He's taking this It's a sparring session. It's when Canelo fought Rocky Fielding. Like, don't take too much into it. As long as he has a fight right behind it.
Let's hope the Jermaine Herring fight happens. That's a great fight. I mean,
he said on Facebook that he gives full credit to Herring for taking this fight. Now he's going to beat his ass or something along those lines.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
But Valdez is fighting Robinson, right? What's his name?
Is he?
Yeah, right. That's not official. That's in the works.
Okay.
So we know the Valdez Herring fight's probably not going to happen. It looks like everyone's going to take a tune-up. Let's be quite honest.
Fine, and it's fine.
It's top ranked. We know how.
And look, I mean, Herring took a tune-up before Frampton. Frampton took a tune-up. I mean, they just took their tune-up a year ago. But you've been out of the ring now for a year. Do you want to go into a that level fight without having been in the ring a year plus? Take a tune-up fight. I get it.
I get it. But regardless, Gary, where do you want to start, man? Fights this last weekend. You want to run through those?
Yeah, let's recap those. Yeah.
Okay. Emmanuel Navarrete versus Christopher Diaz turned out to be a really fucking amazing fight.
Yeah.
The last round finish, and I gotta admit, I do like those. There's a little part of me that always loves like the late fight finish. I feel like it's always more thrilling, more climatic, so to speak.
So right? You were okay with the Chavez Meldrick Taylor stoppage?
We're not going to go there.
I was absolutely fine with it.
Now, honestly speaking, that's one of those. I don't think it's as controversial as a lot of people make it out to be.
I always prefer the boxer. I was probably rooting for Taylor in that fight. I was fine with the stoppage. Taylor was done. The fight was over.
Yeah. But Gary, your thoughts on Navarrete, Christopher Diaz, Josue Vargas versus Willie Shaw. Edgar Berlanga did not continue his first round KO streak or his KO streak. So
let's start with it. Let's start with the main event, and then we'll work backwards.
And also, just really shout out Xander Zayas getting a early TKO win, and Jeremy Ordorno picking up a decision win, and also Orlando Gutierrez Ruiz and Jermaine Ortiz versus Joseph Ordorno was a draw.
Xander Zayas is the same age and the same weight as Vito Malinicki. Who do you think is a better prospect?
Ordorno.
Zayas is the same age. 147, 18-year-olds. Who's a better prospect? This is why I don't understand why. And I don't dislike Malinicki. I just don't think he's good. Like, I don't have any personal problems with Vito Malinicki. But like, I never got why PBC told me he was good. I see why Xander Zayas is good. That guy's a real prospect. Look, I'm not saying Zayas is going to be a world champion. Who knows, right? But you can see that there's the skill and the talent is there. Vito Malinicki. It's like, wow, what are you seeing him?
No, Vito's another Joey Spencer.
The Spencer thing blew my mind. It's like the 2-time PBC prospect of the year. Based on what? Like what?
Sebastian Fundora is just sitting there.
Omar Juarez. By the way, we'll get into Juarez when we get into Josue Vargas.
Yeah, I think it's Josue.
Because Omar Juarez beat that guy and tooled on him. That guy, that Willie Shaw. Mm-hmm. But I talked to Juarez yesterday, and he said that is the toughest guy he ever fought. He's really tricky. So I said, does that make you feel better that Vargas struggled with him so much? And he said, no, that guy's good. He said, Willie Shaw's good. He said, Willie Shaw's
and also good. Vargas is not a heavy hitter. Like, you always have to factor that in. Like, Juarez does have heavy hands, so you always have to factor that into how you're going to rate his performance. With Josue Vargas, he's not a heavy-handed guy at all.
Nobody lets his hands go, right? Like, he's going to get stoppages at this level. Well, he didn't get stoppages, went the distance, but he's going to get some stoppages just because he's not afraid to let his hands go, right? Like,
he's going to be like a Joshua Greer Jr. Like, that's just the reality. And that's fine.
Greer got stoppages early in his career, and he doesn't now, but he doesn't even get wins anymore. Whoever thought that guy was going to be good?
I don't know. But where do you want to start the main event?
Main event, yeah.
Your thoughts?
Chris Diaz was game. I thought Chris Diaz was kind of like C-level. Like, he was good. I mean, like, he lost almost all around, but he was game. He was losing, but he was in the fight until he got stopped. Like, he was landing his work. He was tough. He was game. It was a really good showing from Chris Diaz. Navarrete's an animal, though. I hope we get to the point where we get Navarrete versus Figueroa, because that would be That would be such a good.
Unfortunately, Figueroa. I mean, like that might happen, but Figueroa's going to lose at 122 first.
He's not losing to Neary, if that's what you're saying. He could lose. I mean, he could lose to someone at 22 for sure. It ain't going to be Neary.
I didn't say Neary.
Okay, because that's who he fights in a couple weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, Neary. Is that his last fight in the division?
No, I don't think. I mean, he's big. He's going to fight full. Exactly. As long as he can. Figueroa, you can't see him. He's my height. He's 5'10", 5'11". I don't know how that guy makes 122. He ain't going to make it for long, but let's assume he fights 2 more times there, right? Because
he's contracted to, so to
right.
speak. And that's if he wins those 2 fights, then he can leave the division. I think that's perfectly acceptable. Right.
Who else fights this weekend? I hope Santi's there because Santi's going to be excited. Omar Figueroa.
Santi is going to be in attendance at that event, along with, I believe, Fern, Infojo, and JP from Long Beach. I think they're all going.
What about Matt from Long Beach?
No, I'm not going. Unfortunately, I will be out of town for part of the day, and then be, probably doing work after that.
Are you going to buy the fight?
Buy the fight?
No, you're gonna not stream it,
Gary.
You're gonna not go to crackstreams.com and not do that.
Hey, we're gonna talk about that later, but Triller might be taking Crackstreams out of business. We gotta be worried about that, man. I think all hands on deck to pretend.
But it was like when what was Napster? When Napster went out, something else just popped up. And that went on for years until they all got shut down. But that went on for a couple more years. So
and let's be honest, it's illegal streaming. There's 30 sites I can probably
right. That's what I'm saying. Like the big one might go, but then something else will just become the big one, and then they'll get taken down, and so on. And so,
but yes, Navarrete versus Figueroa I think is an intriguing fight. But Navarrete, period. Like I think I should say this, me especially, I have not credited him for his creativeness in the ring, because that guy can move and be unorthodox in ways that I did not perceive him to be able to do. I thought he was a little bit of a basic volume puncher, to be quite honest, a little bit of a swarmer. Not really the most highly technical guy in the world, but a guy that's really efficient and has definitely overachieved in what I thought in his abilities. But he showed a different gear in this fight. Like his defense and his ability to come forward was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, any thoughts?
No, I thought it was a complete performance from Navarrete. He's going to be tough at that weight class.
Yeah, he is. Too bad Shakur's not there.
Yeah, because that would be such a fun contrast in styles.
What about your boy Gary Russell? Who wins that fight? That's a tough one, huh?
I like both those guys now. I think Gary Russell's skills are so good, but like my thing is, if he only fights once every leap year, how does he stay sharp? You know what I'm saying? Like eventually, I think that's going to catch up to you. And even if it's not age, he's not that old. It's just being out of the ring all the time is like, how are you always going to stay sharp? I'm always going to take Gary Russell Jr. until proven otherwise. I think he's got the best skills in the game.
Russell has on schedule from 2024. Thank you, Franken. Last thoughts I want to have on the card before we move on, because we have a lot to get to. Edgar Berlanga. Hype train derailed. I mean, thoughts on him as a prospect?
He's got... Okay, so I'm glad this first round thing is over with because it was silly, and the knockout streak is over too. So a couple of things. There's good and bad. I think he's got the right trainer. I think Rozier's going to do good work with him. I think now the work can begin. Now that this sideshow freak thing is over, now the work can begin. The guy's got real power. So is he going to be Joe Smith now, or is he going to be Joe Smith when Joe Smith was getting outboxed by Sullivan Barrera? I don't know. But either way, Berlanga's going to be a draw, and he's going to be a top 10 to 15 guy in that division. I think he's strong enough and big enough, and his fundamentals will be good enough with Rozier. With just having that power is going to keep him in the 10 to 15 range. Does he go any higher than that? That it's way too early to tell. I don't know, because I think really now, I know we 17 fights in now. I kind of feel like his career starts now. You know what I'm saying? Like, let him get a real fight. Let him fight somebody good, better, and let's see how he does. Right? Like his power is always going to be there. Let's get him fundamentally as sound as can be. And either his power is going to be enough, or against real slick guys, he's probably going to lose, right? But he's good. I'm confident in saying he's good. He's going to be a 10 to 15 guy with his size, his strength, his fundamentals, and obviously that power. What was the guy's name that he fought? It's been a bunch of days now.
He fought. Hold on, I just moved off it. Damon
Nicholson. Yeah. And I was disappointed in Nicholson because Nicholson's a veteran, and he was holding on. He did. I guess the power was real. He didn't want to get knocked out in the first round, and then he made it through like half the fight. And then it seemed like he was just content with it was a moral victory to go the distance.
It was,
yeah. And that was disappointing because you should fight, right? Like you can beat this kid, and then you can get another fight, or you can try to get some moral victory and go into irrelevancy. You could be the answer to some trivia question maybe 20 years from now if Berlinger works out. Like, who ended the streak? But I thought Nicholson was a better fighter than that, and he seemed content with. He seemed like he just wanted to go the distance halfway through that fight.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that, Gary. I echo that analysis exactly. Moving off of that, there were a couple other cards this weekend, but not ones of like big note. I want to say, the Denzel Bentley versus Felix Cash card in the UK, but I don't think there was US television streaming or anything like that, right? It was on ESPN.
Wasn't. I watched it on YouTube the next day. It wasn't on the ESPN Plus app. I didn't watch the Callum Johnson fight, although I heard he looked good. And I met Callum Johnson when he fought on a Matchroom card in New York when Hooker fought. And Bivol fought Joe Smith. I met him at that card. Really nice guy. Good dude. Really, really good dude. But Felix Cash, I think there's something to him. I don't know how high that. No? So they said that was a kind of a 50-50 fight. And I wish. Oh, okay. Yeah. I wish Rob was here. Because
we know Rob's going to probably back it up in the group chat, so I want to hate on it.
I think there's. I'm not saying he's going to be the next world champion. I think there's something to Felix Cash. Like he's sneaky good. Like he doesn't look that impressive. He doesn't look like he does a whole lot of things well. But there's something to that guy. I think you're going to be seeing Felix Cash in big fights. Whether he wins those fights, I don't know. But there's something to that guy. He's good.
And also, there was the Kenshiro versus Tetsuo Hisada fight in Japan. I did not watch it. I know I sent the link in the group chat. I just didn't have time to watch it, unfortunately.
I did watch it. That link ended. That was a tease. That they ended that right before the Shiro fight started. There was somebody really good at the undercard too. I forget the name. I probably couldn't say it anyway, but the undercard had a really good prospect on it.
I just closed the tab. So,
but it was you can go find it on notdailymotion.com. It was good. It was vintage. It was good. Shiro looks sharp.
All right, let's get to the news, Gary, before we get to the fights this weekend, because I want to get to this news because a lot of it's it's pettiness and it's a lot of drama when it comes to fight negotiations, and I'm here for it, especially since it's Bob Arum, definitely high on edibles, as he's known to be. First up, we have obviously the announcement that I think was either late last week or early this week. That was the Fury Joshua fight, close to being done. $150 million site fee in Saudi Arabia, and then Bob Arum came out and was like, nope, fight's dead in the water for the summertime. Gary, any thoughts on what's happening here with the biggest fight in the sport? And
I think it's going to happen August. I'm going back and forth every time I think it's going to happen. Like Bob Arum or Tyson Fury's like, this fight's not going to happen. I think it happens August 7th in Saudi Arabia. Jeddah that's Saudi Arabia, right?
Jeddah.
Like the car, but spelled differently?
Yeah.
Jeddah? Okay. Yeah. Jeddah. I think it's August 7th there. I don't know why, because I've heard that's going to happen, and I heard that's absolutely not going to happen. So I'm saying, I mean, I've been the one saying I don't know that this fight's going to happen. So I'm tall. Did the Jets make the biggest mistake in the history of the NFL and take Zach Wilson yet? Has that happened yet? Is anyone in the chat watching the NFL draft?
Is the NFL draft on right now? Is that
it's on right now? Yeah, and the Jets are going to take the quarterback from BYU, who is absolute trash, the number 2 pick in the draft. It will go down, mark my words, as the Jets. Now the Knicks are good. Someone needs to replace the Knicks as the laughing stock of sports. It's going to be the Jets. Knicks, they lost to Phoenix. They had to win 9 in a row. The Zach Wilson pick will go down, mark my words, because Justin Fields is going to be good. This will go down as the worst pick in the history of the NFL draft. But you heard it here first.
Anyways, Gary, you think it's going to happen? Yeah, I think it's going to happen.
I do. I think August 7th.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen. I think Bob Arum just being a nearly 100-year-old fucking, ghoul and just being a shit stirrer. Like he's a guy that constantly does this in the media. I think he's one of the most unreliable people when it comes to media interviews.
But don't you think it's intentional? Right? Like, don't you think he's being intentional? Okay, yeah.
Didn't he mention that? I'm pretty sure he talked about it, how he like puts out talking points to the media. Like he's talked about, I want to say, explicitly before.
And we know Tyson Fury likes to just have fun with people. Right.
Yeah. Think about this, Gary. Probably the top 3 people I distrust most in the sport when it comes to their media interviews is in any order, right, of the day. It depends. Arum, Eddie Hearn, and Tyson Fury. I don't trust a goddamn word any of them say. And they're the only ones talking to the media. Like Anthony Johnson's not really talking to the media.
No.
Right? And I think that's a good sign. I think if he was talking to the media like with the Wilder fight, it would be a sign the fight's not happening. But most likely, I think because of radio silence from AJ's camp, fight's probably going to happen. Plus the money on the table. I mean, this is a $150 million site fee alone. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is a negotiation tactic to get a bigger site fee somewhere or at the same place.
And Eddie Hearn said all the right things. He's like, look, they're putting a huge site fee. We have to move when they want to, and they want it one of these weeks. So it's going to be against the Olympics. So I have to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like Eddie Hearn is saying the things that make you think the fight's going to happen, right? Like, they're telling me, and I have to listen because that's what they want, and they're putting up 150 million, right? Like if this was the Pacquiao Crawford fight, where the money wasn't real, you wouldn't be saying those things.
No, I agree. I agree absolutely. But also you have to think about this. Like Eddie Hearn and AJ are not really the B side, obviously, but in terms of who has the leverage right now in the division, Tyson Fury has all the leverage.
I would agree with that.
Even though he might not be the bigger draw, but he has the bigger leverage in terms of he's the guy at the top. Most people think that. It seems like there's a consensus in the boxing world that Tyson Fury deserves to be the number 1 guy in the division, and AJ's number 2. Regardless of them being a drawing power. But then again, Tyson Fury just proved that he can do nearly 1 million pay-per-view buys in the U.S., a secondary market to him. So Tyson Fury in himself has made himself a draw in the last, 2 or 3 years, when 5-10 years ago, he was never a draw. But anyways, moving off of that, Gary, did you see the Canelo Alvarez interview by chance? I thought I sent it to the group chat. Maybe I didn't. Did you see the Canelo Alvarez interview?
I saw some. I didn't hear. I read some quotes from it, but I didn't see the full interview.
It was spicy. It was definitely hilarious to me. Definitely petty. He alludes to Oscar's, not alludes to, he outright says it, that Oscar's drinking and partying is what he focuses on, not the fighters. He directly says that when Richard Schaefer left with all the PBC fighters, that was a mistake, that he should have left with them or left at that same time. He didn't really say which way about that, but definitely said that he made a mistake staying with Oscar and staying loyal to Oscar. Your thoughts on Canelo being quite explicit in his relationship with Oscar De La Hoya?
Look, he's obviously not lying. I mean, he's confirming what we kind of already knew, right? I remember when Virgil Ortiz was fighting in Grand Prairie against Orozco, which was the biggest fight of his career, big test of his career, and Oscar wasn't there, right? My wife said, get a picture with Oscar. It's like, why? Well, why do you want a picture? And he wasn't there, right? Like that's
the joke about Oscar not being at fights like his small fights is only an extension of the joke of him not being at the big fight.
The Canelo Mayweather fight, the biggest fight from a revenue standpoint ever at that time. He wasn't there.
When I was at the Canelo Liam Smith media day, Oscar and Eric Gomez were not there.
Gomez was at the Virgil Ortiz fight in Grand Prairie. But Oscar wasn't, which I thought was weird because it's your best prospect. I don't like why. Like it would be like Bob Arum not being at a Shakur Stevenson fight at that time. It's like, don't you have some interest in this guy? Like,
Well, to be fair, Bob Arum's like substance of choice is just edibles, and going to a fight on edibles is super easy. You just sit down and watch fights. Oscar's, substances of choice, a little bit different. He wants to be up, man. He wants to be partying.
For someone that's always high on edibles, Bob Arum's not really chill. Don't you think he'd be a lot more mellow for someone who's always?
I feel like because it's just Bob Arum, he's never been that guy to be chill. Him on like edibles doesn't make him chill. He's still gonna be a fucking.
Do you think that is to chill him? Do you think him not on edibles is just high strung beyond belief? Like this is him chill. Like this is the chill Bob Arum.
I do think Bob Arum has chilled out in his own way in his old age. Because like I've interviewed him before, like I've talked to him enough times, right, on the phone and in person. He's tends to be a mellow guy. He's just a shit stirrer. Like he loves to talk shit. You can tell. And think about it, he's been in the game of boxing for
60s.
I want to say the late 50s, early 60s, right?
How old is this guy? He's 100.
God knows. It's like Luis Ortiz. We never know. We never know his age. But Bob Arum has been around and has promoted the best and biggest shit talkers in the sport. That's going to rub off. And plus, he's been a promoter that's been in the game for so long. He's going to be a shit talker by essence of the job. Like, he's going to promote, and his style of promoting is that way. It's always been that way to a degree. But, it's Bob Arum. He's the type of guy where he can rat on the IBF and say, yeah, I bribed him, and get away with it while he's talking shit about the IBF for like 20 years later about the issue that he kind of caused. That's Bob Arum. It is what it is. But speaking of Arum, Pacquiao Crawford, Gary, it was almost happening, right?
I said I don't know that the money is real because we had this with Pacquiao and Khan. It was all but done, and then that money was never real. It's like I'm kind of getting those vibes again, right? And this fight was never done like Pacquiao Khan was done. But I was like, this doesn't seem legitimate to me. And then the money wasn't real, right? And that is a very modest way to put it. Over money woes. Money woes? Okay. The money doesn't exist, right? And then they said, we just need financing. It's like, okay, I'm going to buy 10 Lamborghinis today. I just need the financing. And then I'm going to buy the Lambo. It's like, it's kind of a big thing. That's big. That's not a small thing. It's not like we just need to agree on a venue, or we just need to agree on whose name goes first. Like the financing is there's nothing without that because they're not going to fight for free. So there's nothing without that.
There was also a report after this. I forget who reported it that Pacquiao Spence is in somewhat of like early talks or negotiations. I think that's not happening either. I think this is all bullshit.
I said a while ago, and it looks like I was going to be wrong. Pacquiao's not fighting any of these top guys. He's not fighting any of these top guys. If you throw a guarantee $40 million at him, which isn't going to happen, then maybe he'll take it. But that's not going to happen, so he's not fighting any of this. It'd be hard to say no to a guarantee of $40 million.
But we got to say this. In the age of Fury, Joshua getting $150 million site fee, how is a Pacquiao versus Crawford, Pacquiao versus Spence fight not getting a
half that 75?
75 where Pacquiao get 40. Like how is that not possible? It's just because Pacquiao's clearly just not interested in these fights, and these fights are not real. Period. Is it because there's no interest in that region? But I doubt that. I mean, thoughts, Gary?
The undisputed heavyweight championship of the world has like appeal and luster to it. And maybe Pacquiao, as great as he is and as big a name as he is, because he's still the biggest name, right? He's not the biggest draw anymore, but he's still the biggest name.
Probably worldwide, yeah.
Doesn't carry that luster anymore. I don't know, right? Because if you could guarantee him $75 million, where he would get 40, right? $75 million site fee, where he'd get a guaranteed 40. and then Spence would get 30, and then the fight would go to the rest of the card or whatever. That would be a done deal. That'd be a grand slam, but it doesn't exist. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. You know, maybe there's no B-side worth that kind of money. Maybe as great as Spence and Crawford are over there, it's not a draw to them, right? I mean, I don't know. Like heavyweight boxing to me and Matt is not our favorite, but like internationally to the casual fan, they love heavyweight boxing. The heavyweight champion of the world that has luster.
No, you're absolutely right. Moving on from that, let's get to your favorite event of the year, Gary. Floyd Mayweather, Logan Paul, June 6th, Hard Rock Stadium. You're hyped. I know. You're buying the event. You got John Pascal, Badu Jack, Jarrett Hurd versus Luis Arias on the undercard. Come on, Gary. You know you want to.
Pascal Jack was a good fight the first time. Which happened before the pandemic. It's been a while ago, right?
Yeah.
That was pre-pandemic, that fight, right?
And plus, like, Pascal's had like a late career, like renaissance.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like,
he still hasn't learned how to throw a straight punch. He can't throw anything down the pipe. Everything is wide, but it's, you know.
How much do you chalk that up to like the division not really evolving?
I mean, that's certainly a part of it, right? Like that's a big part of it. Pascal was always a great athlete, right? And he had power, but he just like could never throw a straight punch, right? Yeah. He was like a more athletic version of Arthur Abraham, right? If Arthur Abraham could move and wasn't stiff.
No, like Randall Bailey, man.
Randall Bailey could throw things down the pipe. I like Randall Bailey and Kendall Holt are low key two of my favorite fighters to watch. They could crack.
And Kendall Holt's like one of the nicest people that I've met. Met down Keith Thurman's gym. But Gary, I mean, thoughts on the Mayweather Logan Paul thing? Thoughts on Jarrett Hurd, Luis Arias? Jarrett Hurd's bad.
That's a good fight. I heard that Tank Davis beat the hell out of Luis Arias in sparring in Mayweather's gym. That's what I heard. And that's a 60 or 68 pounder. And this is interesting because Hurd's obviously going to 60. And he's not fighting he's not fighting Spike O'Sullivan, right? He's not fighting a small middleweight. He's fighting a big middleweight who's campaigning at 168 also. I think Arias is 168 also. So that's interesting. So that's telling me that Hurd is a middleweight moving forward.
I'm reading very fast if it is at middleweight.
It can't be at 54 because there's no way Arias can make 54.
They're not saying what division it is, I believe. Huh. Aries isn't that big, though.
But he's not, I mean...
Wasn't he like a 154 pounder that moved up to face Daniel Jacobs? Am I wrong in that?
Was he?
I believe so.
Did Aries campaign early in his career at 54? Like, before the Jacobs fight?
Gary, I don't have box rec open. I do actually, but you know, I'm late.
Anyway, I heard Tank beat him up in sparring, and he got pissed off because he got beat up by a lightweight. That's what I heard.
I'm pretty sure the Charlie's pretty bad in sparring as well. It's Luis Arias. Like, you know, he's a top like 20, 22.
You shouldn't be getting beat up by lightweights if you're a top 20 middleweight. I'm just saying.
Sorry, I'm ordering food right now. Gary. Anyways, you're gonna buy it? What are you gonna do? Stream it?
I'll stream it. Yeah, I don't even know that I'll watch the main event. Right? The Hurd fight I'm into, the Badu Jack fight is whatever, but it should be a fun fight. Although I don't think. Again, it's Pascal and Badu Jack are fine. You know, it'll be a good fight. So the undercard's entertaining. It's nothing else.
What do you think about speaking of Triller? What do you think about Ryan Kavanaugh coming out and saying that the real events, like, for example, Lopez Kambosos, obviously Logan Paul is not going to be that. But like Lopez Kambosos, that's going to be a purist style of production.
I'm glad to hear that because I was wondering what they were going to do. Was it going to be this debacle thing that they did with these last two, with the Mike Tyson card and then this thing, or was it going to be a boxing card? And he's saying it's going to be a boxing card. So it's not going to look like the sideshow things they did, the circus freak things that they did, the other two cards. So, I mean, that's good. That's what I wanted to hear. Although I don't know that that's good for boxing because it's not going to bring any non-boxing fans in, I don't think, right? It's just going to be preaching to the choir. So it's good for me. I don't know if it grows the sport at all, unless Triller has some marketing ploy that I don't know about where they're going to put this in front of younger people. in ways that I don't know about. But I mean, it seems like they're just going to have an HBO style broadcast with Triller, right? Like, it's just going to be targeted for boxing hardcores.
Speaking of Triller as well, did you see that giant lawsuit? I think we talked about it either at the beginning of the show or off air. That 9-figure lawsuit against our beloved crackstreams.com.
Is
it time to like say rest in peace to it? Like, is it going to happen?
You could say rest in peace to crack streams, but then, something else will show up. Wax streams will show up, and it'll be the exact same thing, right?
From the same Eastern European, Russian computer farm.
It'll be the exact same thing. So it'll be years until all of them get shut down. Like I was telling Matt, Napster got shut down, but then LimeWire, and what were the other ones? There was there were a bunch of them. This exact same thing with the exact same content. It was like they just got a new name, and that's what's going to happen here until something happens and they all get shut down. But that's years from now.
Yeah. Moving on from that, let's get to the fights this weekend. Gary, first up, let's get to the Joseph Parker, Derek Chisora event. Also with Dimitri Bivol versus Craig Richards, your boy, and Rob's boy, James Tennyson.
Oh, yeah. They say Craig Richards, Spider Richards. Like, how's that my boy?
James Tennyson, you like him a lot.
I do.
You think he's like reborn at lightweight?
I think he's the greatest lightweight since Duran. That's obviously hyperbole. That's not even close to true.
The blasphemy here, Gary.
Shane Mosley at 135 was probably the best lightweight since Duran. At 135, Mosley was incredible at 35.
Also, Katie Taylor versus Natasha Jonas.
She's not the best lightweight since Duran. She lost to
Stephon Pursoon twice. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Marcos Morrison. Campbell Hatton, your boy, versus Levy Dunn, who is 0-4.
He's about to be 1-4.
Stop that. But thoughts on this UK kind of like deep card? Like, it's actually a really
it's a good card. Is this the Friday card or is this Saturday?
Saturday.
There's a UK Friday card on too, isn't there?
Yes, but this is like I would say the marquee event of the
okay.
Weekend,
right? No, this is a good card. You got Tennyson. It's got a deep card, and then the heavyweight. Look, I don't know who Matt's gonna pick, but I'm gonna pick Chisora because I think Parker's gonna get hit one too many times.
Is it because Chisora did so much great work against your boy Usyk that you have to pick Chisora now?
I think if he could put hands on Usyk like that, he's going to put hands on Chisora one too many times. He's going to put hands on Parker one too many times. So I'm going to take Chisora by knockout in the mid-round, probably 7. But I think he might be losing the fight on points at that point because Parker's a good boxer. But I don't think Parker looked impressive against Junior Fa. Like, that wasn't impressive to me. I don't really think, like, Parker won the heavyweight title when he was younger. He's like 25, right?
Yeah, very young.
And I don't really feel like he's got any better at all.
No. I think he hit his athletic and technical ceiling a while ago. And also, I would say that I'm picking Parker slightly because I think these guys are pretty, even. Like think about Parker's fight with Dylan White. Think about Dylan White's fight with Derek Chisora the first time. Like these guys are kind of around the same level where if they all fight 10 times, each, they're all going to pick up wins against each other to some degree. And I think Parker, technically speaking, is the cleaner fighter than Chisora.
Oh, yeah. But he doesn't have the power like Chisora has.
No, he doesn't. But he also did hurt Dylan White. We've seen him hurt top-level guys that are kind of chinny. Chisora can be hurt. We've seen him get hurt in the past. He's only getting older as well. He's only been in more wars. So I'm picking Joseph Parker to win this by decision. And probably a fun, heavyweight slugfest. These, top 10 to 15 ranked guys. It should be pretty competitive throughout too.
Yeah, I largely agree with that, except I think he'll get caught with something big before we get to the end of the fight. Before we go the distance. Definitely. Is this pay-per-view in the UK or no?
Yes, it is. Yes,
They
he
will
did.
pay for anything.
Well, it is a deep card. You have Katie Taylor.
It's a good card. It's a good
You
card.
know, like I'm excited for it. Like I think this is like, at least like in terms of the A side column, there's tons of fighters I care about. And on the B side column, there's a few fighters I care about. Also, this weekend, where is it at? We have Sonny Edwards versus Navarrete Methylane in the UK as well. Michael Conlon versus Inuit Baluta, I believe is how you pronounce that name. And a bunch of other people I don't care about. Gary, your thoughts?
I'm into the Sonny Edwards fight. I don't know who I'd pick in this fight. Edwards is good, but he really hasn't fought anybody, right? I mean, what's his best win? He's looked good against bad fighters. I mean, this is a quick step up in Methylane. I don't know how he got to be the number one ranked guy. I guess because his brother and his promoter got him there. But I think Sonny Edwards is really skilled, and he maybe could win this fight. I can't pick him just yet because he hasn't beaten anyone even close to this level. So I'm going to take Methylane, but this is a good fight. I could see Edwards winning. I can't pick it yet because he hasn't proven anything. But Edwards has got a lot of skills. I don't know. He doesn't have snap in his punches, right? Is that going to affect him? Is that going to be a problem?
Could be. Methylane, absolutely.
I'm going to pick. Would you be shocked if Sonny Edwards won? Would you be shocked?
No, but you have to box a really good fight and win 8 rounds.
That's what I'm saying. I have nothing to suggest that he can do that at this level against a guy like Methylane, who's really good. Right? Where's he from? South Africa? Methylane?
Let me check. My computer might freeze, but hold on. I will try.
This is an intriguing fight. South Africa. Like, I'm going to pick Methylane just because I don't have enough. And I don't have enough knowledge on Edwards. Edwards doesn't have enough experience where I can say I'm going to pick him.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would say Methylane's win against Akira Higashi is enough. Akira Higashi's a future Hall of Famer, probably.
He's had that belt for how long? Like 4 years?
A while, yeah.
He's had that belt for yeah. As long as, you know, is he the longest reigning champ of that belt? Like, has anyone had a belt longer than he's had that belt?
Martinez? Same division.
That's a good question. I feel like Methylane had that.
Close.
Yeah, Methylane's had that belt forever, though. Like 16? When did he win that belt?
Yeah, but he hasn't fought as active as Martinez.
No, he hasn't. Yeah, that's true.
Except for Martinez has had some issues with like injury and stuff. But anyways, Gary, thoughts on the Michael Conlon fight that we care so much about?
Michael Conlon's fighting Mick.
By the way, another one of those prospects like Vito and Joey Spencer who I could just care less about.
Omar Juarez, he's not. Is this at 22, right?
Yes.
Look, Conlon says he feels strong and he's fighting his own weight class and he's got power at 22. I don't know. It's only 4 pounds difference from 26 where he had no power. So I can't see that being true. But I'm going to go into this fight with a clean slate with Mick Conlon. He's fighting in a new weight class and he said this is the weight class he belongs in. So I don't think Conlon's any good at all. I think he's a good amateur fighter with no pro skill set. Right, like his punches he doesn't sit on his punches. He doesn't commit to his punches. It's an amateur style where he just kind of throws shots without any meaning, any intention on his punches. Try to score here, score some shots over here, right? Same thing with Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson is a good college quarterback. He's got no skill set for the NFL. Mick Conlon is a good amateur boxer. You can see that. He's got no pro skill set. But he's saying that this is his right weight class. This is where he should be. This is where he feels strong. And you're going to see a different Mick Conlon. So I'm going to wait until see the finished product of Mick Conlon at 122. I'm just saying I don't have high expectations.
I don't pick him against anyone.
22 is the wrong division.
He went to a stronger division probably nowadays.
But he's saying that this is where he belongs. You know what I'm saying? That he's going to be that much better. It's like, okay, you better be, because 22 is loaded with more young talent than even 35 is.
There's so many fights from 122 to 130 that Top Rank could and should make, and they're just not making them.
If he fought Angelo Leo, who would you pick?
Oh, Leo.
That's what I'm saying, right? If he fought
Louis Neary.
I don't pick him to be any of these guys. Like, I don't even think he's. I have to go through 20. I don't know, but like I don't pick him to be any of these guys at 118. Which one? 122. Yeah. Any of them.
No, me neither. Moving on from that card, let's talk about the PBC pay-per-view on Fox. Andy Ruiz versus Chris Arreola, Sebastian Fundora versus Jorge Cota, Esmelani Delora versus Thomas Lamana, Omar Figueroa, aka Santi's boy, versus Abel Ramos, Eduardo Ramirez versus Isaac Avalar. What else do we have here? Adrian Granados versus Jose Sanchez, Jesus Ramos versus Javier Molina. That's a really good fight. Carlos Negron versus Scott Alexander, Fernando Molina versus Frisco Marquez, and Anthony Garnecki versus Jesse Bazzi. Gary, thoughts on this loaded card as well?
Look, Chris Arreola is a tough guy. He should go rounds. I do think he'll get stopped late in the fight. This is for a comeback fight where he's been out of the ring almost a year and a half. Chris Arreola is a fine opponent. It makes sense. You got basically an all-Mexican card in LA. I like the card. I think it's a fine reintroduction opponent. I think it's a good opponent for Ruiz to have with his first fight with Reynoso. But we all know how the fight ends. So can we get into the real fight of the card? The entertaining fight on the card. The barn burner on the card, which is the Abel Ramos and Omar Figueroa fight. Because that's the fight where if Omar Figueroa is in shape, this thing, look, that's the best names, but this has, like, from an entertainment standpoint, this could be the fight of the year. Well, that's going to be tough with the, but I'm saying it's got that kind of action.
It should be a fun fight.
I know it can't be fight of the year for this year for what we had earlier with Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez and Estrada, but what I'm saying is it's going to have fight of the year type of appeal to it. It's going to be hard to win fight of the year this year after what we just saw. Yeah,
especially in the first quarter. Let me briefly talk about the main event. I know you want to run past it, but I just want to give my thoughts about it, especially as a pay-per-view when it shouldn't be a pay-per-view. Andy Ruiz should win this fight, I would say, within 6 rounds. He's the faster fighter, probably the heavier hitter, the better athlete. I would say the better boxer in today's time. Like, Chris Arreola was a great perennial top 10 guy in the mid-2000s, all the way through like the 2010s, early 2010s. But he hasn't been that way for nearly a decade, I would say. This is a comeback fight for both guys due to the layoff. I think Arreola is going to look really fucking slow, and Andy Ruiz looks like he's in the best shape of his life with Eddie Reynoso down in that super camp right now. Andy Ruiz should look in impeccable shape and in impeccable form. I say within 6 rounds, he should get out Chris Arreola. I think it would be a fine fight too. Like, I think this is a good matchup. Like Gary said, like, it makes perfect sense in terms of, Mexican versus Mexican matchup in LA. Like, it all has the right. It's all the right check marks in the right boxes, except for pay-per-view. This should be on Fox, where it would get a monster rating probably, especially with Andy Ruiz's last few fights and what it's done for his stardom and his ceiling. I just don't understand Fox's, because I do think it's Fox more than PBC at this point with what's his name? Who was the Bill Wagner? Wasn't that the guy's name? He came out and emphasized pay-per-view as their focus. It does seem like a Fox initiative to do this, which I don't understand. This should be on Fox, regular Fox, not pay-per-view, on Fox, and it can do 3, 4, 5 million views.
I do think it would do that number, right? Because like we were talking about on last show, like natural market. Well, the natural market is LA, and that's a huge market, right? It's only 50 only, because it's still an absurd amount of money to watch one night of boxing, but it's only $50, right?
Is it?
I think so. Yeah. I haven't ordered it. I'm going to order it. I'm going to buy this fight because Omar Figueroa's on it. I think this fight is going to do, if it's $50, I'm pretty sure it is. I think you're going to be surprised with the number that this does. I think in the market that it is, I think like half the buys at least are going to come from that market. You're going to get 250,000 pay-per-view buys. And you can call me crazy. I think you're going to get 250,000 pay-per-view buys on this.
Yeah, I mean, it can do 250. That's not unlikely.
Then they're going to put on pay-per-view. If you could do 250, they're going to put it on pay-per-view. Even if it could do 4 million on Fox, which maybe it could, I think that is.
But I would still rank that more the higher end of a prediction for this. Like 250 to 300 is a high-end prediction, I would say. Right?
Yeah, my guess is I'm going with 250. Like that, I'm not going to go any higher than 250, but I think 250 I think I think Ruiz has appeal, and I think this fight is intriguing, and I think both guys have a name. I think this fight does well, and that's why it's on pay-per-view. I think they put Ruiz against the right B side.
Maybe, but going to the undercard, I know you want to get to that. Omar Figueroa versus Abel Ramos. I mean, Abel Ramos should win this fight. Like, Omar Figueroa is not in shape. He's not training properly. Like, you know, I've told you off air what we can't repeat here. Like, Omar Figueroa is not winning this fight.
I heard he's been training in California. I heard he doesn't train well anymore when he's in Texas. It's
really no shit, Omar.
I heard he took this camp in California. I've heard if Omar's in shape, this is fireworks. If he's not, he's gonna lose. If he's in shape, he can still lose, but he could win, right? I'm gonna take Omar Figueroa because it's one of my favorite fighters of all time to watch. So I'm gonna take Omar Figueroa because I wave the Texas flag, multiple flags, as you can see, and then the one my kid made. See, yeah, and he's on the wall over there, but you can't see him with Brandon. Brandon's got a fight coming up. Omar was obviously embarrassing in his effort against Ugas, which he didn't train for. This is it. He's like 31 now, 32. Like, he's running out of.
Is he only that young though? Like, think about like Canelo is 32 or like something like that, and we were talking about, damn, like Canelo's still so young. He still has so many years ahead of him. Like,
yeah, but
Omar, he's 32. And we're talking about, dude, this guy needs to like go to rehab. He needs to like retire.
He's in. It's weird, right? Because it's like he's in the Rio Grande Valley where there's nothing to do, right? And he can't be there because he parties too hard. You got to send him to LA, right? Like, and, you know, Josh Hamilton did that. He went to LA, right? That was the end of his career. He was back. He was back on the wagon, off the wagon. What do you call when you're
on the wagon?
On the wagon.
Yes.
That was the end of his career. If he's in shape, and I've heard conflicting stories. I know that he's training in LA or in California. I don't know if it's LA, but he's in California training. I hear that that's where he needs to be. Now, what he's doing in there, I don't know. But they said him in the Valley in Weslaco, there's too many distractions. Did you hear if his sister will be at the fight?
I have not heard if his sister's going to be at the fight, Gary.
I know that the cameraman.
I assume she will be. Don't worry, fans. You fucking horny ass boxing fans. Anyways, Adrian Granados versus Jose Sanchez. Haven't seen Granados in a bit. Excited to see him. Also, Edwin Laura versus Thomas Lamana. I mean, Laura should win that, even in like.
This is Cornflake Lamana. I mean, this is embarrassing at this point. Really. Cornflake Lamana. This is what we're doing with Laura, who's 37 years old now? 38? I mean, how many fights does he have left? You had him fight Bazooka DeLuca, and now this? Like, what are you doing? This is embarrassing. Like, you're wasting away the very end of his career. Like, he had Hall of Fame talent, and you wasted away now with Bazooka DeLuca, Thomas Lamont. This is Yuri Foreman. He fought not that long ago. I guess it's been a while ago now, but like, these are the fights that you give him. What has he done to you that this is how you treat him?
I don't think he fought Mark DeLuca.
Who did he just fight?
It was Greg Vendetti.
Oh, same difference.
No, I'm.
That's not the same person.
To be fair, though, Gary, I can understand at his age having a couple tune-ups, even though this is 3. I can understand a couple, not 3. I can understand a couple tune-ups after a war with Brian Castano.
That Castano fight wasn't recent, though. You know,
that was like, 2019. It's just
how many? He's fought. This is only his second fight since then.
No, this is gonna be his third. He fought Ramon Alvarez. Remember
that? There's the one I forgot. Yeah.
Like I totally understand fighting Ramon Alvarez and Greg Vendetti, maybe not in that order. As like tune-up, real soft tune-ups. She's 37 years old. I get that. The third one I don't get because you can probably position him for a bigger fight now and a bigger paycheck, which is probably what he needs at this point in his career. He needs those big paychecks to then ride off into the sunset. This isn't that. He's not main eventing. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to be as big of a paycheck as he probably wants it to be. He needs another important fight. But if Jarrett Hurd's leaving the division,
he said this is at 60.
This at 60?
Yeah.
Well, let me see.
First of all, Lara's not a middleweight, right? Like he's not a middleweight's big.
It is middleweight. You're right.
I don't know what they're doing. This is
no, this fight doesn't make sense.
I forgot that he fought Ramon Alves. And I also didn't realize that Vendetti and Bazooka DeLuca were different people. I thought they were actually the same person. They're both from Boston too, right? Like there's a difference between those two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they are. Sebastian Fedor versus Horikota. I mean, Horikota's food at this point. We all know that.
It's a name. You know, stay busy. He beats a name. A world title challenger. Not a winner, of course, but a world title challenger. Yeah, Fedor should get rid of him pretty quickly. 5 rounds or less.
He should never have been a world title challenger to begin with, and that's kind of the issue. Fedor is a, you know me. I think he's the next like David Benavidez. So he should be winning this fight handily. I would say with
5 rounds or less,
maybe more, because Fedor is one of those guys that's a little bit of a slow starter too. He's a volume puncher, not really a guy that's going to hit you with one shot and put you out. So
the Code is one of those guys who's not very good.
True. Within 8, I would say within 8. Within 8. Gary, any other thoughts on that card, man?
No, I like the card. I like the names on it. Again, I wish it was on pay-per-view because I think you could get 3-4 million eyes on it. But
come on, Gary, just talk for a second.
I think it's going to do enough pay-per-view sales where it's worth them to put it on pay-per-view. I know people are laughing at this being on pay-per-view. I think this is going to surprise many people with the number that it does. And I'm going to buy it. Matt, you're not going to.
No, fuck no, man.
Omar Figueroa.
Hey, you're buying this, but you're not going to buy Mayweather Logan Paul? Come on, man.
Is Omar Figueroa fighting on Logan Paul?
No, but Jarrett Hurd is. He used to be an all-violence guy. Used to be.
I like Jarrett Hurd. Jarrett Hurd is on the wall. He's right there. I like Jarrett Hurd.
Anyways, before we head out, Gary, I will be talking about the UFC event, UFC 261, before I head out of here. Gary, I know you don't, watch that or care to talk about that. So, Gary, any final thoughts before we wrap up the boxing portion of the show, and any shout outs, talk, anything like that?
Real quick before we go, how much Josue Vargas struggled with Willie Short change your take on Omar Juarez, who dominated him?
No.
Okay, so you just still think Omar Juarez is probably the best prospect in the sport under the age of 22?
No, I don't think that at all. I think Omar Juarez, if I had to list like the best prospects in the U.S. right now, he's maybe in the top 20. I would have to really think about it.
Right, like okay, so Jesus Ramos is a prospect, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. He's further along in his career and his development than
like he will be on maybe a top 10 prospect list in like 2 years.
Oh, that's fine because he's 21. That means in 2 years he'll be 23. That's fine.
Yeah.
And then
he's one of those guys like obviously not the same. Don't take this offensive as an offense, Gary. But like Campbell Hatton. I can't.
Oh, stop!
I can't really judge these people right now. It's too early.
And can we talk about just Ammo Williams real quick? Ammo Williams is
yeah, we can talk about that.
He's gonna take a little break from boxing. I'm sorry, everyone seen what's going on. And I
shit on Eddie Hearn. You saw that, right?
Yeah. I don't know what I mean. I hope he's okay. If you talk to him, he's a smart guy. He's he's synced. He speaks well and to the point. I hope he's okay. And I just him and Ryan Garcia are obviously going through something, not together, but like there's something going on. It's easy to attack him and make fun of him or whatever, but it's a real issue. And Hope they get the help and the clarity that they need. Because both those guys seem like excellent, not just fighters, but excellent people, like great guys and ambassadors for the sport.
Even if they weren't great guys, like I don't want anyone dealing with like mental health issues.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you don't have to be dealing with that. Like I hope they get the help. I hope they get whatever treatment they need. If they don't need treatment, if they don't want to, then that's their prerogative as well. And I just hope they do whatever they need to do to make themselves happy right now, because it clearly is an issue. And I think they need that. Gary, any other thoughts?
Of course, TACA, the Autism Community in Action. It is a charity that's near and dear to our heart. It is National Autism Month for another 2 days, today and tomorrow. April's National Autism Month. So the link is Matt has it in the community page. Please share it if you can. If you have funds available, I know it's tough times. Donate to it, but at least share it, get it out there, let as many people see it as they can. It's a charity that's near and dear to our heart. Also, Texas is still not a country, although we're working on that. We're making progress on that. It's slow.
Is there progress? Gary, tell me the progress.
So it's
what subcommittee did it leave?
It's still in the subcommittee, but Chip Roy made a speech on the floor of the Texas Senate to get it out. And the problem is that it has to pass both houses and then pass the popular vote. If it goes to the popular vote, if the people vote for it, they're going to pass it. So now it's just a matter of getting it through the House and getting it up for a vote. You know what I'm saying? When it has overwhelming popularity and they suppress it, right? When the House members and the Senate members suppress it and won't even vote on it, that's not going to go over with the constituents well, because they want to approve it. I don't know if it doesn't come out in this committee in this session by 2022. It absolutely will. 2023, right? Yeah, 2023. And so it's hitting the right stride. I don't know if it's going to happen at this time, but within 2 years, we will have that voted on and approved. I'm confident in saying that. And when I said within 10 years, the U.S. will no longer be the same, I think we're going to do that in 2 years.
How long has there been national support for like a weed legalization?
Boy, I mean, so they really started to crack down on it in the Nixon era, right?
Yeah.
So that was the 70s. So I guess, I mean, in response to that, you know what I'm saying? Probably since the 70s.
And it's still federally a class, section 1 or whatever, class 1.
And the thing is, with Texas secession, you know who supports it the most? What subcategory of Texans? Young people. So it's a movement that is being spearheaded by young people. So the old people, what do old people do? They die off. And the young people are carrying this. So this has legs to it. This isn't going anywhere. It's not like it's supported by old people who die and then it dies with the old people. This is supported by young people. It's disproportionately young, which is contrary to what most people think. So this
Gary,
is going
you should jump back on my political show. Either like I might do one later tonight, or I'm probably gonna do one tomorrow if I'm being quite honest. And talk about this again. It'll be fun.
Okay. Yeah.
I want to talk about the balkanization of the U.S. because that's definitely going to happen. I don't know when, but it's definitely going to happen.
That's enough of the Texas secession talk. But if you're in Texas, you should support Texas. And Ivan Calderon's still not in the Boxing Hall of Fame. It's April 29th. We should make that change. Let's get Ivan Calderon in the Boxing Hall of Fame. From Texas to the world, thank you and God bless.
Thank you.
When are we going to be back? Are we going to next Wednesday, or do you want to do a show on Monday too?
I will keep you posted. I do not know at this moment. I have a lot of like stuff next week. I have meetings next week and stuff like that. So I'll let you know. Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Gary. See you later, man. Quickly before you head out here, I want to talk about the UFC 261 event because that was amazing and heartbreaking all at the same time. Let's start at the top. Kamaru Usman defeating Jorge Masvidal in the second round via destruction, just pure fucking chaos in that right hand. Jorge Masvidal, let's be honest, should not have been in this fight. did not earn this title shot in this rematch. And Kamaru Usman's only getting better. Kamaru Usman may be the best welterweight in UFC history and MMA history. He doesn't have the longevity as a GSP, but he might be the best fighter we've seen in this division, period. I think he's going to reign over this division for however long he wants and then go to 160. I mean, middleweight. And it's going to be interesting there because, like, Whitaker, Adesanya, like, those are intriguing fights for Kamaru Usman that are probably far more difficult than matchups right now at 170 for him. Also in the co-main event, my girl, Rayleigh Zhang, let down us communists. It's tough, man. She got head kick knocked out in the first round. Just brutal shit. God, it was awful. Shout out to Thug Rose, though. She's always been a fantastic fighter. And I can't wait for the rematch whenever that does happen. It probably shouldn't be a immediate rematch, though. And the last fight I will talk about, Valentina Shevchenko versus Jessica Andrade. Shevchenko just utterly dominated Andrade. And I didn't expect this. I did not expect her to get her mounted crucifix, elbow her to death, and then just like walk off. Like that was quite impressive. I don't know what else is there for Shevchenko. I think the only thing that really intrigues me, I know it does intrigue a lot of MMA fans, is the Amanda Nunes trilogy fight. But for obvious reasons, I understand why a lot of MMA fans are not in favor of that. But anyways, guys, I'm going to be heading out here. I will be doing another show, our political show over at Trending Now Network, General Strike Podcast, either today or tomorrow. And again, if I have to assume, it's going to be tomorrow. So everyone have a great day, great evening, great night. Remember, at all times, fuck the police and free Palestine. Peace.